Hello my friends, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Erin and today is Friday, but unfortunately we are not doing a book review Friday today. Today is my July reading wrap-up. We're going to talk about all the books I read in July, and I'm going to give you my thoughts and my ratings on everything and tell you what I liked and what I didn't like, and just kind of give you an overview of what my reading month was like for July. So July was actually a really great reading month for me. I read 19 books, I believe. So yeah, incredible. That's one of my highest so far this year, I believe, which is kind of crazy. I don't know why I was in such a reading mode in July, but I was, so yeah, I don't know. I'm happy. It's just kind of weird. I don't know why. Probably because I didn't get to film as much as usual in July because of the heat. So I think I was just able to do more reading because I wasn't filming constantly. So yeah, I guess it's a good thing and a bad thing for July. Okay, so let's start with the one and only DNF I had this month, which is Dead Body Disposal by John Athen, I don't know. Atten. I don't know how to say his last name. I DNF'd this book at 42%, which is actually pretty far. I made it pretty far into the story. The story is about Max, who calls his friend randomly one night asking for his help, and when his friend shows up, his friend realizes that he has killed a woman in the hotel room, and Max is asking for his friend's help on how to get rid of the body. So the reason that I DNF'd this book is because the characters are extremely annoying in my opinion. I know that they're supposed to be unlikable. I know that they are supposed to be bad characters. I'm aware of that, and that's not really the reason I found them annoying. It was how dumb they were. The conversations they had and the way they spoke, I was just like, I want to punch you in the face every time your mouth opens because you're just kind of stupid, and it was very irritating. I hate characters like that. I don't mind unlikable characters. I don't mind, you know, bad characters, but when you make them just plain stupid and just no depth and there's no lifelike qualities to them, they're just so flat and so stupid, I was like, yeah, no, I have to stop. Second, I knew what the twist was as soon as I started this story. It's a very predictable twist. It's a very obvious twist. As soon as I started reading a certain part, I was like, it's literally yelling it in my face that this is the twist. So I didn't really care anymore because I knew what the twist was. It was so obvious, and I've seen a lot of reviews on Goodreads saying that the twist is extremely obvious, so I'm pretty sure I'm right. And I just don't care anymore since I know what it is. I lost interest. No thank you. No mystery, no intrigue. I didn't care anymore. And lastly, this is a content warning heavy book, a trigger warning heavy book. There is a lot of gore, description. It's very gross. This is a very gross book, and honestly, I didn't see the point in continuing this story. There was nothing there for me that would want me to keep going back. So I DNF'd and I'm pretty happy with my decision, honestly. I'm happy that I decided to quit because it was just wasting my time, and it was actually the last book I read of July, so I was actually pretty irritated that that's how I ended the month. But yeah, it was just a big nope for me. I just didn't care for it, didn't want it, didn't need it. Let's work our way up to 5 stars. So next up is my 2-star book of the month, and that is I Know What You Did Last Summer by Lois Duncan. I did a full review on this book. I am not going to go too much into this one. I don't like it. Please go watch the movie and don't read the book. Honestly, I cannot recommend this to anyone. I can't, with good intentions and love in my heart, tell you to read this, because it is just so bad that I will feel horrible if I tell you to read this. There is no mystery, there is no tension, there is no atmosphere. Everything is very obvious and cheesy, and not in a good way, because I love cheese and I love over the top, and I don't mind cheesy books. I like the cheese. It doesn't bother me. This was too much. It's just too, like, dumbed down, I think. Honestly, I know it's a YA, but it's like, I don't know. It's dumb. That's so mean. I'm so sorry if you like this book. I didn't like it. I don't get it. The twists are extremely obvious. The mystery person is extremely obvious. I didn't like this book. I'm gonna leave it at that. Watch the movie. So next up is our 3-star reads, and the first one is The Missing by Kirsten Modglin, or Modglin? Modglin? I don't know. This book is a thriller, and it's about 5 strangers that end up abandoned on an island, and the only direction that they get is they have to kill each other for one survivor to make it off the island. And you know, they don't trust each other. You know, they have to figure out how to survive, but also, do they trust each other? Why are they here? What's going on? Who's doing this? You know, it's, I feel like this is a pretty standard abandoned island plot. There are things I liked about this. It's very short. It's 265 pages. It's fast-paced. I liked the characters to an extent. I don't know. I wasn't that invested in this story. I wasn't that intrigued. Like, yes, I wanted to know why they were on this island. I wanted to know, you know, who was doing it. Yeah, of course I wanted to know those, but I didn't really care when I found out. It was just such a meh twist, or whatever, twist, ending, conclusion, climax, whatever. I just felt like it was a little, meh. Oh, this is it? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I don't know. It was fine. The ending I did like. I thought it was a little cheesy and a little unrealistic, but I did like it. I mean, it was fine. Overall, I just feel like it was an average thriller. There was nothing that exciting, not anything that unique, not anything that special, but it was fine. I read it. I overall liked it enough. Okay, next up we have August's, I hate saying this, August's Eyes by Glenn Rolfe. I hate when August's, I don't know why that irritates me, but I hate the way I say it. So, August's Eyes. It just sounds like I'm a snake, like, anyways. So this was actually an ARC from NetGalley. I was approved for it. I got to read it in advance and, you know, review it. So, this story, I've talked about this kind of plot before in some of my wrap-up videos. This is a very standard plot. This is about the main character having something tragic happen in his past, and then it comes back to haunt him in the present, and he has to face his demons and, you know, take everything head on and, you know, fix things in the present because of the past. You know, you get what I'm saying? It's a very standard plot. A lot of horror books rely on this I guess, trope, if you will. I actually like this kind of plot. I just want it to be unique. I want it to stand out. And I do think that this author tried to do that with this plot. I do think there were some things that were there to make it fresh and unique and a little bit different. For me, unfortunately, it was just a little unsuccessful. Some of it really worked and some of it really didn't. There's a good blend of real human evil, the realistic human evil that I love, and supernatural, which I also do love in my horror. However, I felt like the supernatural points to this book were just a little puzzling. They didn't really fit for me. I didn't really get them. I was just confused, I guess. I didn't really quite get why they were there. What they were really adding to the story. I don't know. I would have just liked the focus on the human evil. I really, really liked those aspects of this story, but the supernatural parts really just didn't do much for the story to me. This story does deal with molestation and pedophilia, so if those are triggers or content warnings that you need, please be mindful of those. They are mentioned heavily throughout this story. Again, I felt like the writing was a little bit choppy, a little bit, I don't know, the dialogue felt very unrealistic. Sometimes two characters would be talking and I would just be left sitting there like, this would never happen in real life. This conversation would not have gone this way. It just doesn't sound normal or real. It just sounded so fabricated and so you know, not plausible, I guess. That's probably just me. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people really liked this story. It was just a little unrealistic for me, a little too over the top, which was unfortunate because I really liked the realistic elements of the story, but it didn't make it cohesive most of the time. I really liked the second half of the story. I think it picked up speed. It got a little bit better in my opinion, and I felt a little bit more invested. But overall, I just feel like this is kind of an average story. It doesn't stand out to me. It doesn't make me want to scream it from the rooftops telling you guys you should go get this right this instant. That's just me. It's just a very average 3-star read in my opinion. So I don't know, you guys might absolutely love this story, but for me it just wasn't anything wow worthy, you know. Next up is our 3.5-star rated books. I'm gonna start with the book that I reviewed here on my channel already. I have a full review on this one, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but that is Paradise Club by Tim Meyer. It is a slasher story. However, the ending really just fell flat for me. If it had kept going in the traditional slasher realm that it had been going, I think I would have liked this book a lot more than I did, but the last 25% of the book is just so far out of left field that I was very confused on how it even made sense with the story, and I didn't like that. I didn't end up liking how it ended, and because of the ending, I did not actually like the overall story anymore. So unfortunately, this one just didn't work for me as well as I had hoped it had. Yeah, but if you want a slasher story that's a little bit different, it's not super predictable, super standard or anything, you know, traditional, this might be for you. I really like Tim Meyer's writing, but this one just wasn't for me. Ooh, next up we have The Ruins by Scott Smith. Okay, so I have a lot to say about this book. I'm gonna try to not say too much in this video because I do want to do a video comparing the book and the movie, so I am going to save most of my thoughts for that video coming up soon. I have to watch the movie and then I will film my video on it. But this book, you know, there are things I really liked about this book. The last 100 pages was amazing. It was very messed up. I liked the action. I liked the body horror. I liked the, you know, deaths. Everything was really good the last bit of the book, but the build up to that point was so boring and so slow that I just don't know if I can look past that for the ending. I did overall enjoy it more after I got past a certain point, but it just took me forever to really get into the story and really start enjoying myself. So that was unfortunate. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very conflicted about this one because I feel like if I read it again a little bit later, I would actually enjoy it way more. The first experience I had was just, I didn't really know what to expect, honestly. But now that I do, I think I could go in more with an open mind and kind of, you know, understand it a bit better and know how to process it a little bit more. There are things I really liked about this. I know everyone hates the main characters of this story. I didn't think they were that bad. Everyone was complaining about them in their reviews, saying they're like the stupidest, most annoying characters. I don't think so. I don't know why everyone says that. One of them I disliked a lot and I wanted them to die very early on into the story, but everyone else I didn't really mind. I don't know why everyone hates them so bad. Maybe I relate because I hate the outdoors and I'm not an outdoorsy person, and being outside makes me want to die a lot of the time. I just don't like being outside. There are bugs. I don't like being outside when it's hot. I like to just be comfortable, and being outside is not comfortable for me. So I kind of understand how they felt. So maybe that's why I understand their reactions and their thought process a little bit more, but I didn't think they were that annoying. I don't know. But that's all I'm gonna say about this one. I will talk more about it in the video that I am planning. Hopefully that's coming soon. Hopefully. But yeah, it was a mixed bag for me with this one. Okay, and then last for the 3.5 round, we have The Queen of the Cicadas by V. Castro. This was also a NetGalley arc that I was approved for and got to review. Okay, this is my first V. Castro book, and a lot of people rave about their work, so I was very excited. This story is about Belinda, who is attending her best friend Veronica's wedding in Texas, and then she learns that the farm that the wedding is being held at is actually the site where the Queen of the Cicadas resides. Basically, in the 1950s, a farm worker was brutally murdered, and no one seemed to care because, you know, who cares about the farm workers? Oh, great. Useless life, right? I mean, who cares about them? And, however, someone did care about her death, and that is the goddess of death. And she allows her to seek revenge on the people who wronged her. I did like certain aspects of the story, a lot of it being the urban legend culture aspects to the story. As someone who is Mexican, I don't see a lot of Mexican urban legends and culture in horror. It's something that I think is kind of lacking. So I loved to see that tackled in a horror novel. I loved the revenge aspects. That's something I love. I just love urban legends. As someone who grew up with Mexican urban legends told to me, you know, La Llorona. So I mean, it's something I know. I am very familiar with. My dad used to tell me stuff all the time, so it's something I'm familiar with. It gave me a sense of like homey vibes that I loved. So I was very excited for this one. I was very excited. Unfortunately, I do think it fell a little bit short in the grand scheme of things. I absolutely love the story that was set in the past. I loved learning about what happened, and I liked seeing the revenge taken on them. I loved that aspect. I really liked the past portion of this story. However, the present wasn't really my favorite. I felt like they didn't really mesh all that well. So that was unfortunate. I don't know, it just dragged a bit. I just would have liked it to focus more on the past than it did. And the present part it didn't hold my attention as well as the past parts did. So I just didn't like the present storyline. It just wasn't, it was too bizarre, it was too weird, it was too out there for me, and I just didn't love it. I also think this should have been a little bit shorter. It dragged a little bit for me, and I was kind of getting to the point where I was like, okay, I need this to be over. I'm a little bit done now. Unfortunately, I just think it could have been condensed. This is a very powerful story. I love the messages. I love what it is about. I love the plot. I love the urban legend aspects. I love the culture aspects. Like I said, I'm Mexican. I can, you know, I can feel a sense of familiarity through it. But it didn't fully become what I wanted it to be. I do think it's an interesting story. I think it's very different and unique and very fresh. You want to read a story like this, I think it's a good one. There were just parts that I liked more than others. Next up is our 4-star rated books. The first one up is Darkest Hours by Mike Thorne. This was actually sent to me by the author in exchange for an honest review. So just letting you know that off the bat. This is a short story collection, which I love reading short story collections from authors that I have never read before. I've said it before, I'll say it again and again. I think it's a very good introduction to an author. I think it shows you the range and the different types of horror that they can create, and it just allows you to get a better sense of the person as an author. And you know, I love when they tackle different subgenres and just really kind of explore horror as a genre and just really just go for it, honestly. And I think this is something Mike Thorne does really, really well. There are so many kinds of different stories in this collection. They are so different from each other. There's something for everyone in this collection, which I really appreciate. I love that. I love reading different kinds of horror from the same author just to see what they're about, what they're like. I don't know, it's just very fascinating to me, and there's something for everyone, and I love that. The story collection starts off with the story called Hair, which is super gross, but it really does capture the attention, and you know, it pushes you forward. You can't stop. You know, you have to keep going. It's just so gross and bizarre and weird, but I loved it. I guess, well, you know, it made me feel things that I didn't love, but it was very interesting, and I think it was a very good starting story, and it just continued to be really good after that, so I was very happy. My favorites are all actually very different from each other, but they all made me feel something. They made me feel a certain type of way while I was reading them, and that's why they're my favorites. And I was just really happy about how many favorites I actually did have, because sometimes it can be hit or miss with a short story collection. Not all of them are going to be winners, and you're going to have ones you like more, but it's always very satisfying when you have a lot of favorites versus just a little bit of favorites. And at the end of each story, he goes into a little bit more detail about what inspired the story and, you know, what prompted him to go down this path, and I actually really like that. It's always interesting for me to hear why authors write certain stories. So yeah, it was a good collection. I really liked it, and it was a lot of fun. Next up in our 4-star category is Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Imede. I did a full review on this, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. It's Get Out meets Gossip Girl. It's a YA. It's a lot of fun. I love the messages inside this story. I think it's something that is super important that the YA genre has and is super accessible to all kinds of readers. I just think this is a really, really fun book. I did think it was a little too long, and I did want it to be a little bit more on the intense, dramatic side, a little bit more thrillery. It was a little bit tame at parts, but when it got going, it was crazy, and the ending was amazing. Overall, I really, really, really enjoyed this story. Next up, we are on to our 4.5 star rated books. First up, we have Mina and the Undead by Amy McCaw. This book was also sent to me by the author in exchange for an honest review. I actually filmed a reading vlog on this book, so if you want to watch me read it and show you my authentic emotions as everything was happening, that I'll link it in the the description box, the down bar, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. This is a YA story. This is a vampire story, and this is about Mina, who goes to New Orleans to visit her sister Libby for the summer, and she gets a part-time job working at this horror movie museum. It sounds like a lot of fun, sounds super cool, but you know, people start dying, and things get a little intense, things get crazy, things get heated, and I am not the biggest fan of vampire stories. I've said it before, they're just not my favorite type of horror story. I don't know, it's just not for me most of the time, but this one was a lot of fun. It was very interesting, it kept my attention. There's a bit of romance thrown in there, and you know, the twists were really good. I was very impressed. I did not see them coming, so I loved that because I like being kept on my toes. And overall, it was just a really, really fun, refreshing, easy story to get sucked into, and I really, 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 really enjoyed it. I think a lot of people like it because it's just kind of easy and tame and not too dark, but it still has the, you know, intense thriller bits that people, you know, want. So I think this is a good mixture. Next up is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. Now, this book has so many mixed reviews. People have been really hating on this book. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I really, really liked it, hence the 4.5 star rating. Do I think this story is cheesy? Do I think it's over the top? Do I think it's a little bit far-fetched? Yeah, but I think most books are, in my opinion, and I liked it. I actually really like the main character, Charlie, as well. I know a lot of people had issues with Charlie. I personally don't think she's that bad. People are really, really going hard on her, and honestly, I don't get it. People really hate Charlie. I don't get it. I don't think she's that bad. Do I think she does some dumb things? Yeah, but so does like every character I ever read about, so I wasn't really that thrown by it. She's a pretty typical thriller main character in my opinion. I think that's just kind of how they are most of the time, so I don't get why people are that crazy about how annoying she is or whatever. I don't know. I liked her. I liked the story overall. The story is about Charlie, who is trying to go back home to Ohio because of guilt and just the grief of losing her best friend to the campus killer. The campus killer murdered 3 people, I believe, and her best friend was the 3rd victim. So she just wants to go home, and she's trying to find a ride to get back to Ohio. She meets Josh, and they end up carpooling. However, on the ride to Ohio, Charlie starts getting some weird vibes off of Josh and starts thinking he is the campus killer. Now, there's some other things going on in the book. Charlie has this I would say it's a trauma response by her brain. A lot of people also made fun of her for that. I get why people were annoyed by it, but I thought I didn't think it was that big of a deal. You know, to each their own, but I actually enjoyed the book. The ending was just I don't know, it was a little weird for me. I get the reasoning behind the ending, and I do like it. I didn't love it, which is why it's not a 5-star read. But overall, I thought it was a fun book. Everyone kind of made it seem like it was trash. I don't think it's trash, but definitely know what you're getting into. It's cheesy, it's over the top, it's far-fetched, it's a little unrealistic. And by a little, I mean a lot. So if that's not your thing, probably don't read this, but I liked it. I thought it was fun. It was entertaining. It kept me on my toes. It kept me interested. I liked it. Next and last in the 4.5 rated category is Come With Me by Ronald Malfi. This was also a NetGalley ARC given to me in exchange for a review. I really liked this book. I knew immediately I wanted to read this because I had never read a Ronald Malfi book. I've heard people talk about his work a lot. I really liked the cover. I liked the description. It sounded really, really good. So when I saw this on NetGalley, I was like, I'm gonna request this one. Yes, thank you. Please hand it to me. So I went into the story not knowing much. I like to do that. You know that about me. I like to be surprised. I like to not know much. It gives me more to the experience of reading the story. So I'm not gonna tell you much. I think you should just go in without knowing too much, but immediately what jumped out is the writing. The writing is so beautiful. It is so grief-stricken. It is just so, there's just a layer of sadness throughout this writing. It's just laced in each word. The feelings while reading it were just so strong. I always had this lump in my throat and in my chest while reading the story. I just felt so overcome by emotions. And that's just because of the writing, honestly. It was so overpowering, but in a good way. I really enjoyed that. What I will tell you about this story is that this is about Aaron Decker, who loses his wife tragically, and after her death he starts learning things about her and slowly starts seeing that she was hiding things from him, and he starts trying to uncover what she was hiding. And it's a typical plot. Like, I've seen this plot before, but it is done so differently. This is so different from anything else I have read, and it was beautiful. It was so amazing. I loved every second of this book. Like I said, I devoured this quickly. I needed to know what was happening. I'm a crybaby. I cried multiple times throughout this book. Yeah, it was just a very emotional read for me. My biggest gripe, and why this isn't 5 stars, is that I just wish it was more horror. This is labeled a horror thriller, but it's definitely more of a thriller. There are some horror aspects, but it's not as horror as I would have liked it to be. But in saying that, it's a really small gripe, a small itty bitty thing. This does have supernatural elements to it, which is the more horror parts, but I just wish it was a little bit more, just like a little bit more. But otherwise it was an amazing story. Next up, we are on to our 5-star category, the last category, my favorite reads of the month. First up, we're going to talk about volumes 2 through 6 of Blood on the Tracks. I read them all the very first few days of July, actually. This was what started my July off. This series is incredible. I really didn't know if the rest of the series was gonna live up to the first volume, but wowza, yes it does. Each volume is a 5-star rating from me. Every volume is amazing in its own way. It is emotional. I have cried multiple times reading this series, and it's very dark, very disturbing, very messed up. I cannot wait to see what's gonna happen next. I'm very scared to see what happens next, honestly. I'm scared. Shuzo Oshimi, I'm scared, sir. You're scaring me a little. You're scaring me. No joke, I actually am kind of scared to see how this series ends. I don't know what kind of ending Shuzo Oshimi is going to go for this one, which makes me a little bit nervous. If you guys don't know what this is about, it is about a mother-son relationship that is a very, it's like interesting. It's like an interesting relationship. It's not a great one, but yeah, I absolutely love this. It's fantastic. Like I said, I read volumes 2 through 6 this month. 6 was the most recent one that came out. I'm on a cliffhanger with it. It ended very... I just don't know what's gonna happen with this one. I don't know. I have lots of feelings, and I am enjoying it quite thoroughly. I am enjoying this so much. Shuzo Oshimi is just very masterful at the psychological, disturbing horror that he does. It's amazing. He's very talented, and the art is just absolutely beautiful. But yeah, highly recommend if you're looking for a horror manga and you haven't picked this one. If you haven't picked this one up yet, I highly recommend it. It's beautiful. Next up is Petrified Women by Jeremy Ray. Now this one was sent to me by the author in exchange for an honest review, so just letting you guys know that this was sent to me. This is a novella. It's very short, very quick, very easy to get sucked into. There are content warnings, sexual assault, body horror, strong language, that kind of stuff. I really appreciate the content warning on this story because it is pretty... It's a heavy one, but I really enjoyed it. So make sure to look at the content warnings if you do want to pick this one up. So this story is about Aiden and Harley and their relationship. Harley thinks she's met a keeper. Aiden is, he's finally the one. He's a good one. He's a good egg. She is happy with him. Their relationship is very... interesting. It relies heavily on pranks. Aiden really likes to prank Harley. In my personal opinion, I do not consider what he does pranks. I think it is very mean most of the time. I was telling my significant other about this story, and how we prank is like, he'll call me on his way home, and his idea of a prank's being like, oh babe, I can't come home right now. I have to work late. And I'm over here like, oh, great, you have to work late. Then he's like, just kidding, ha ha ha. That's how we prank each other. Or my idea of a prank is hiding behind a door and jumping out and being like, boo. Like, that's how we prank each other, okay? Because he knows I am an anxious mess, okay? Like, I'm anxious, like, a lot. So he knows that there's a certain level that you can't prank me at, because I will be... It just wouldn't end well, and he respects that, because that's how a relationship works. You talk to each other. And Aiden's idea of pranking Harley is just kind of cruel, in my opinion. I would not tolerate it. If my significant other had been pranking me like that, I would honestly be very upset. And like, some people might read it and not think it's cruel or like whatever. From my personal opinion, I don't think they're very nice. I don't think that's something you do to someone you love. So, their relationship is just, it's built on a very prank heavy basis. He also carves these life-size female figures. So like he's an artist, you know, like he's like misunderstood, he's an artist. He gives me that vibe, that whole like, if you've ever met someone who takes that artist thing and they're like, I'm an artist, you don't understand, like that's how he acts to me, and I'm like, okay dude, you need to like, I know that you are a wood carver and you're very talented, I'm very happy for you, you're an odd dude, okay, like I don't like you. But anyways, Harley decides to prank Aiden for his birthday. She plans this really elaborate prank, like it was pretty good. I was like, yeah, okay. And the prank, yeah, it goes bad because she finds out some things about Aiden and she sees a different side to him. She sees what he truly is like, and this story was just a roller coaster, okay? Like I had no idea what was going on and I loved that. It was really great. I loved the ending. The ending was immaculate. So perfect. I loved a satisfying ending like that one. It was so satisfying and I loved that. So I was very happy with the way it ended. I really liked the idea of the story. Like I said, Aiden and Harley are very interesting characters. It's a short novella, but they're very built upon in that short amount of time. You really do kind of see who they are, and I feel like Jeremy Ray really does a good job of explaining these characters in such a short amount of time, which I think is a very hard feat in a novella. So I really liked this one. It was a lot. It was heavy, it was dark, and it was intense, but I really liked it. It was great. I highly recommend it. Just watch those content warnings if you are, you know, if you have content warnings that you need to check on, please check on those before you read this, but otherwise I highly recommend it. It's very good. And then the last book in the 5-star rating category and of this video is Silence in the Shadows by Darcy Coates. This is the final of the Black Winter series. I have now read the entire series. It took me forever to finish this series. I kept putting off this book because I don't think I wanted the series to end, if I'm honest. I just knew that if I finished the book, I was gonna be sad and I was gonna have to end the series, and I just didn't want to do that. But this is an apocalypse horror series, and I actually don't really care for apocalypse type books. That's not my favorite subgenre in horror. I'm not really like into the whole apocalypse thing. So I'm actually surprised that I loved this series as much as I did, but I really like the spin and way Darcy Coates did this apocalypse story, so I think that's part of the reason why I really enjoyed it. But this was a great ending to the series. I'm really happy with how it went. I'm really happy with how it all came together in a really nice, tidy bow, which I know not everyone likes in their horror, but I do. I like nice, tidy, little, good endings. You know, it's satisfying to have a good ending sometimes. I know that people like to have every character die in every book that they read, but sometimes I like happy endings, okay? Sometimes I like them, and Darcy Coates gives me happy endings, and I appreciate that. So I was very happy to see that this wrapped up nicely, and I was happy and I was okay with how it ended, and I wasn't dissatisfied in any way. I actually did kind of guess where the book was going. I kind of guessed a few things, but honestly, I'm not mad about that, because if I had been wrong, I think I would have been more mad. Because like I said, the way it would have ended if I had been wrong would have made me upset. So I'm actually pretty happy that this was a little bit predictable. Just a little bit, not like a lot, but like a little bit predictable. I'm glad it was a little bit predictable in that aspect. Overall, happy that I finished the series. You guys know I love Darcy Coates. I loved this series so much. Every book was a 5-star read for me. I enjoyed every single book thoroughly. I enjoyed Claire and Doran thoroughly. I'm gonna miss them, honestly. I love them. They're such good characters, and I love Darcy Coates' characters so much. Her characters are just the best. So I'm kind of sad that this is over, and I want to see more from Claire and Doran, and I'm sad. So yeah, but it was a really great book and a great ending to the series, and I'm very happy that I finally finished it. Okay, my friends, that is it. Those are the books I read in July. This is the longest frickin' wrap up in the entire universe. I tried to go as fast as humanly possible and talk as little as possible about each story, but also trying to give you a synopsis, my thoughts, opinions, and why I rated it the way I rated it. So I hope that this video was entertaining. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you were excited to see what I read in July. I don't know. Maybe you aren't. I have no idea. What did you read in July? What was your favorite book that you read in July? Did you read a lot of good ones? Did you have like a slumpy month? Did you read like a ton of really good ones, a ton of meh ones? Let me know. Not gonna lie to you, I'm kind of already hitting a slump for August, which is it's not great. It's not great, but I'm already feeling a slump coming on, and I don't know if it's because July was super heavy and really intense, but I am feeling a little bit slumpy, so I'm hoping that's not the case. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It lets me know what kind of content you guys enjoy from me. That way I can keep providing you with that kind of content. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. We can become friends, talk about books, movies, makeup, horror, all kinds of things. I do a lot on this channel, so hopefully there's something for everyone. But I'm hoping 2 videos next week. I will keep you posted in case that changes. I'm sorry. The weather, it sucks. I don't know how to fix it. I'm sorry. So hopefully I'll see you guys next week, 2 times next week, hopefully, but I make no promises, but I hope you are having a wonderful day. It's Friday, so I hope you're gonna have a wonderful weekend, and yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.